Research Mini Electric and don't just drive it, feel it.
Technology empowers students. For over 25 years, Sync has brought the power of Apple to schools across the UK, providing students with new and exciting ways to learn at home and in the classroom. Bring iPad to your school with plans from just £6 per student per month. Book a free consultation at wearesync.co.uk/iPad. Sync. Education ready. Excludes 20% VAT. Minimum term applies.
At the Halifax, we know that catching up and checking in on each other has never been more important. So this year, when our customers couldn't come into our Halifax branch, we picked up the phone and gave them a call. We've made over 250,000 wellbeing calls so far, and we'll keep checking in on our customers throughout the winter months, just to see if they're doing okay. Halifax, it's a people thing.
To help keep our customers and colleagues safe, we've put several safety measures in place inside and outside our stores. Where possible, please shop one adult at a time, keep a safe distance from others, and wear a face covering. Our elderly and vulnerable customers, plus NHS and care workers, have priority access at all times. Sainsbury's.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973.
Let's talk about this military spending. Glenn in Hornchurch. Do you support it, Glenn? Good morning, sir.
Yes, I do. Good morning, Nick. I think it's a great idea, and it's about time. I mean, the defence budget has been reduced over the last sort of 10 years at least by successive governments in ways that are just daft. But it could be that the Prime Minister has got wind of the fact that we are going no longer to have this special relationship with America, and if we don't do it, we are going to be vulnerable. I think for good or for bad. Also,
so this is like an insurance policy. So just to clarify, this is an insurance policy if Prime Minister Johnson does not get on with President Biden. Is that what you're saying?
I think perhaps that's the reason it's been brought in now, because he's been made aware of what is likely to be, it probably won't be stated, but likely to happen over the course of the American government doing what they need to do to protect themselves. For good or for bad, we're also one of the biggest exporters of arms in the world. So the consequences of developing this stuff will perhaps mean that there are more items to sell the world.
Let me ask you this.
To blow it up.
Let me ask you this lastly. When you consider that the school meals row that Marcus Rashford championed so successfully last week, that was spending of around 106 million, right, which is a vast amount of money, and if somebody wants to give me that, I can be very happy. But that was, Mr. Rashford had to virtually wring that out of a very unwilling government. Yet we can find £16.5 billion to play Star Wars. Many people question the way that we're spending the money. How do you stand there?
Well, it's on the surface it seems ridiculous, and it's money that we're never going to be able to pay back. And maybe one day there'll be a world meeting about writing this debt off completely. But why not pluck another 16 billion out of the air and start a housing program? Employ so many people, from those that stick the roof on to those that carpet the place.
That's not a bad idea, actually, because it's difficult really to argue, so they can find the money when they want to. And how many times have we seen that in the past? Glenn, thank you. Phil, we'll talk military spending with you in just a moment. But I want to come back to the story, I think, with which, yes, we did start the show, which is what seems to be growing civil war within the Labour Party. And as I've said before today, how many times have I said that before in recent months? Sir Keir Starmer's handling of the Jeremy Corbyn case. Of course, Mr. Corbyn now, the suspension removed by the Labour Party, but Sir Keir Starmer saying yesterday he is not going to be restored to the Labour Party as such. He will not get the whip. This is over the way that he handled the allegations of anti-Semitism, and in fact I can now say actually proven cases of anti-Semitism when he was leader of the party, not necessarily touching himself, of course, though there are many who have concerns. He's always denied it himself. But how has this gone down with Jewish people living and, of course, listening in London? LBC's Rachel Venables is at the Habiba Deli in Swiss Cottage in Hampstead. Rachel.
Nick, the story of Jeremy Corbyn recently has been something of a political yo-yo. First, he's out after his reaction to the EHRC's anti-Semitism in Labour report. Next thing we know, he's back in as a member. And then yesterday, Keir Starmer, of course, said his predecessor might be in the party, but he can't have the whip back. He can't be a Labour MP. So yes, I'm here at the kosher Habiba's Deli in Swiss Cottage, getting reaction to this latest twist in the story.
Hi, welcome to Habiba's Deli. I'm Seriki. We are a one-stop kosher shop. We have brought kosher to the area of West Hampstead / Swiss Cottage, where we have your dry goods, your bakery, your kosher wines, coffees, and deli goods.
So talk to me a little bit about your reaction to the ongoing Labour news with Jeremy Corbyn. First he's out, then he's back in as a member, then he now can't be a Labour MP. What's your reaction to all of that?
It's a bit confusing. I mean, it was good news he was out, bad news he's back, and I think it's better if he was just gone completely. So I don't know where it goes from here or how it really works. I can't talk for the whole Jewish community, but I can say myself, I don't think the trust is there. Just based, if he's still being able to be part of the Labour Party, it's still got that problem. The problem is still there. They haven't got rid of the problem by keeping Jeremy in.
He's upset a lot of people. He's upset the Jewish community. He's made it really difficult for the party to come together.
They're overreacting a little bit. You know, it's just that's what I can say.
You think the party's overreacting to Corbyn?
Yeah, overreacting. They're misinterpreting his views. You know.
Okay.
They exaggerate things. You know.
He makes the Labour Party a grey party because we don't know what's going on. That is the bottom line.
And what do they need to do? What should they do?
Well, either in or either out. I mean, come on, in and out isn't good for anyone, is it?
So as you heard there, Nick, a real mixed set of views about Corbyn himself, but a real desire for clarity. That remark, particularly at the end, in or out, the sense really that this grey area where Corbyn sits now is good for no one and certainly not good for the party.
Rachel Reynolds reporting from Habiba Deli in Swiss Cottage. Rachel, thank you for that. Back to military spending, thanks to Phil in Penrith, who's been holding on the line. A lot of money, 16.5 billion. Is it right to take some of that from foreign aid, would you say? Good morning.
Good morning. From foreign aid, I'd like to see aid programmes that will link to population control if you want to start talking about that, but that's another subject.
Well, it is related because, of course, yesterday we heard that foreign aid could be trimmed by some billion quid, and now we hear we've got 16.5 billion to play Star Wars.
Well, I think we should start foreign aid with population control in some places.
Okay, right.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
But I'd like to talk about the Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier.
The QE2.
Is that what he's? I thought that was. Yeah.
This is the new.
I just think that was. I think that's it. That's going to be redundant very soon if it's not already redundant as a.
Right. This is the relatively newly commissioned QE2 you're talking about. The aircraft. Yeah.
When you think about the not just the boat but the support craft that have to be around it. If you ever see the American carriers, the amount of support craft that have to be around them, the cost is phenomenal. The destroyers, the submarines, the minesweepers, it's incredible. And I just think that one good missile and she'd out of action, isn't she?
Well, respectfully, you could argue about that in almost any terms of military, couldn't you?
No, you can't, because I'm talking
about those amazing...
one enormous lump of defence spending there, isn't it? That's massive. Can you point me out one piece of defence spending as much as that?
But you could argue, you could ask if you look at how stealth fighters have been used, or you look about how drones are now used in military terms, you could say one direct shot on a stealth, one direct shot on a drone, and it's out of action. That's the world of military, isn't it?
That's not the same, nothing like the same amount of money as that aircraft carrier, though, is it?
Well, are you going to argue simply you don't build anything big because it's a target? I don't see...
I think there's an argument for it, because they're looking at doing away with tanks at the moment. They say they're becoming irrelevant, aren't they?
Whereas I can see the argument against tanks, I think it's vital to have an aircraft. How else are you going to position aircraft off, for the purpose of the debate, just so we say, off the coast of Libya? I've just chosen that at random. It could be the coast of New Zealand. It isn't, well, unlikely.
Well, if it's New Zealand or Libya, you get the Yanks to do it for you, don't you?
Why don't we do it?
I don't think we're not the Rule Britannia rulers of the sea.
I'm not seeking to be.
We're going to get real about it. We shouldn't have a defence force that can be used in natural disasters that can be sent to natural disaster areas. Not in a confrontational role, but in support roles.
Then who's going to be our army then, if that's what we're using the army for?
No, you can still.
You can only use a soldier once.
And be worked on natural disaster stuff.
I mean, you're either looking after the poor souls who've been subjected to a landslip in Italy or whatever it might be, or you're chasing ISIS through Iraq or wherever it might be. I don't think the soldier can't do the same thing, can he or she? Phil, thank you. I think the aircraft's a good idea. Frank in Kingsland, where are you on this, Frank? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm supporting the defence spending, but I have concerns over where a lot of the budget might end up going. It's not fully known that all those nuclear submarines that were once in commission are now lying alongside in Devonport and Rosyth. So we're talking something like 20 hulls which have to be maintained because they don't know what to do with what is called primary pipework and reactor systems. That is nuclear waste.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that. How much is that costing us?
Exactly. I don't know. They have to have watchkeepers on board.
Right.
Because several of my former comrades from submarines, I was a nuclear reactor operator, went into the business down in Devonport, and some are up in Rosyth. So
and they can't be decommissioned, Frank?
Well, no. If you can imagine, you've got tons of steel inside what is the reactor compartment, and that is still irradiated. You can defuel, but the steel itself, the primary pipework, is still active.
Do we know what other countries have done? Because of course we're not the only country.
Well, I shouldn't really laugh, but the Russians, they took a very drastic way of doing it. They cut out the reactors and then ditched them off Novaya Zemlya.
Oh my
and then asked Europe for money to recover the reactors, and that money disappeared into the Russian system.
You put your finger. I had no knowledge of that. That's a really interesting fact, and I'm grateful. They do say you should learn something every day, and that's probably me done for today. Frank, thank you for that. The conversation continues. Also, coming up after the news and coming to a workplace near you, around 45,000 people who would currently have to reveal previous criminal convictions who, under a new law, might not have to. I'll argue that they should. Shouldn't they? And if you're a boss, do you agree? 9:31, this is Breakfast with me, Nick Ferrari here on LBC. Let's get the news from Simon Conway.
The Defence Secretary Ben Wallace says a 4-year financial deal for his department will allow the armed forces to be modernised. The MOD will receive an additional £16.5 billion to allow it to develop capabilities in areas like cyber and space. Data suggests a coronavirus vaccine developed by the University of Oxford produces a strong immune response in older adults. Results showing its overall effectiveness are expected to be released in the coming weeks. The holiday and airline firm Jet2 has reported operating losses of £111 million for the first 6 months of the financial year. The company says it remains cautious over next summer, despite recent positive developments on a COVID vaccine. And the weather, a colder day with some strong winds this morning. Showers moving south will become isolated later, with sunny spells developing. Wintry showers in the north and a high of 10 degrees.
Weekends at LBC.
For me, and I'm getting emotional, before tears start running down my eyes as I say it, Joe Biden is the president-elect of the U.S. and Kamala Harris, the first African-American woman to become vice president.
David Lammy, Saturday afternoons from 4, LBC.
It's Black Friday. Get super alive. Time cool. Learn more at sky.com.
Whether you fancy owning a swimming pool big enough to have its own yacht, or just a yacht big enough to have its own swimming pool, what you need is dream come true money. Luckily, Friday's Euro Millions Super Jackpot is £110 million. Now that's dream come true money. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Play online or on the app. Estimated jackpot. Account terms, rules and procedures apply. Players must be 16 or over.
If you thought gold was only owned by the privileged few, if you thought you couldn't be the owner of such a precious commodity at Gold Bank London, carat gold, less than £60, Gold Bank London is the easy way for you to begin your gold ownership journey. Want to increase your gold portfolio? Want to sell your gold at our best price? Visit gold-bank.co.uk now.
If your business trades with the EU, you need to know what Brexit means for you. At the beginning of next year, you'll have to start doing custom. We want to make sure you're ready. Imports and exports for you flow. It's easy to use and really affordable. Subscribe now at aeb.com/easy. T's and C's apply. Minimum 3-month subscription.
Sergej, Oleg's webcam. What are you doing?